Offseason is where?
I'm going to go to Dallas because of the Devontae Adams possibly to the Chargers. So I would say Cooper Kupp. Again, I'm looking for a veteran receiver who understands routes, who understands timing and rhythm for a quarterback to help that out. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're in this division, you've got to do something to put yourself on that list to compete with Philly and compete with Washington.
To another receiver, Mike T. The best fit for Deebo Samuel is...
The Washington Commanders. This one's easy, Greeny. Look, Terry McLaurin is really good. But one of the things that I think Cliff Kingsbury did a great job of, get the ball out of Jayden Daniels' hand. What does Deebo Samuel do great? He's great run after the catch. I think he's a great complement to what they already do there. And hopefully that's a fit when it comes to the salary cap and the contract.
I was thinking Steelers for him. That's a great, I do like that fit though in Washington.
Let's go all receivers here. Kmart, the best fit for T. Higgins next year is...
Selfishly, I want to see him with the Chiefs.
Oh.
You know why? Bad blood between these two teams. And if the Bengals don't want to pay him for T. Higgins, listen, the Chiefs, I understand they have Patrick Mahomes, but they need to give him another receiver. Yes, a guy who can go up and get contested balls. This is the guy that they need.
Can he play tackle?
Yeah, I can't. I was going to say, Greeny, it's a good idea, but I have legislation pending in the state of Kansas that the only thing they can do is sign offensive linemen. So that's a violation of the new law.
Here's the thing about Higgins is he said he might take less to stay in Cincy. That blew my mind. I'm like, well, I love him in Kansas City.
Putting on my GM hat, that's contextual. Is that like 5 cents, $5? Like what's left?
It's $1.50. I'll go for it. $1.50. That's all I'm saving.
It's one of the very important dominoes that will fall.
Yes, it is. And
probably pretty soon. The loop on the NFL's head coaching hiring cycle. Yesterday, Kellen Moore in New Orleans officially hired by the Saints. So he wins the Super Bowl there on Sunday, and then he's back to take over the new team. He was the Super Bowl champs offensive coordinator, of course. Under his leadership, Philly had the 7th-ranked scoring offense during the regular year, had 16 touchdowns and 1 turnover in 4 playoff games. So what does this mean? It means it's going to be another interesting offseason for Jalen Hurts. A new play caller, a new offensive coordinator. That is nothing new for him. What you see on your screen, I'm going to give you a moment to digest this. It goes back to his freshman year at Alabama. Quite literally every single year since then, he has had different people calling his plays in his ear, designing his offense. This will be his 4th different play caller in his last 4 seasons with the Eagles. One might argue that makes it all the more remarkable that he's had the success that he has. When players in that situation fail, and they usually do, we use that as an excuse. So what do we say about Jalen that he has managed to overcome something that would have derailed a lot of other young careers?
Dare I say elite? Absolutely. Not only has he done it, he's been to the Super Bowl twice, won one, and played extremely well in the other. So when you're thinking about what Jalen Hurts has done, it's absolutely incredible. Green, I'll give you a stat. The last 3 years, Philly averaged 27 points a game. That was with Steichen, 26 with Kellen Moore, and 25 with Brian Johnson. That sounds like the quarterback's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And I get, everybody talks about the offensive line. You know I'm as big an advocate as any, but the quarterback still has to play week in and week out. He has continued to do that. I respect that kind of his game. I do not think he'll take a step back. It will take time, but they still have a great offensive line, 2 great receivers, a great running back, and a very good tight end.
I agree with all that. They have one other thing that's really important, that's great. They have a great head coach. Nick Sirianni.
Preach!
Nick Sirianni took over Team Greedy that won 4 games. And when Nick Sirianni became the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Hembo gave me the stat. Jalen Hurts has started 4 games. So at some point, we have to go by the facts. And the facts are Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are a great tandem, and they're both great in their respective roles. I'm not saying it's Reed and Mahomes yet, but they are on that trajectory. And look, Nick Sirianni hired Shane Steichen. He hired Kellen Moore. He deserves credit. So I agree. I understand there's different offensive coordinators, but there is continuity relative to the head coach.
And Sirianni, can we give him credit for the tush push? I know Himbo and I, the greatest, the most unstoppable play in football created in Philly.
Yes.
God, that just makes me happy.
One man's
I respect you, bro. Thank you. I've been fighting all season
where
for
you
this.
been?
That's what I'm saying.
So I was gone one day. And it says here, that Kmart is the CEO of the Jalen Hurts fan club. Now, I believe I'm the one who named you the president of the Jalen Hurts fan club quite some time ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure when you were upgraded to CEO. Was there a board meeting that I missed on this choir board approval? Whatever it is. So I was not here to allow you to take your victory lap.
The board members did not vote. We did not take a vote. I was a dictator. I just appointed myself.
You have been on Jalen Hurts' corner at times when others have not been. What do you say to that?
Because to me, what we saw, he's clutch.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people kind of like nerd out a little bit with the stats. No offense, Hembo. But I think there are other intangibles that you can't quantify. So while Jalen Hurts, while you might say like, he's not as talented or athletically gifted or as special dynamic as some other quarterbacks, in the biggest moments, he has shown up. I understand last year their entire team fell off a cliff. But what we see is when he's against Mahomes, he has outplayed Mahomes both of those times. And it's a credit to him. I think that's the context, that graphic that we showed. Every single year, he's played with 11 different offensive coordinators, and he's still managed to be the type of leader behind the scenes and then in the game that team requires. And that's why I'm not worried about him.
Greedy, something else really matters here, and we're going to get into the draft season and all these quarterbacks, and we use this expression all the time. The tape sets the floor, the character sets the ceiling. He is the son of a high school coach. He has got
O-line coach.
He has gotten
better.
He has gotten a lot better throwing the football, and that's why he won the second round. They had Carson Wentz and gave Carson Wentz a massive extension. Yeah. Jalen Hurts has earned all his success because he has worked at his craft.
I want to go back to something that Kmart said about being clutch. They've played almost 30 games, one-score games. They've won 23. They've won 80% of their one-score games. Every time that happens with the Chiefs, we give full credit to Patrick Mahomes. Every time. But we don't do the same for Jalen Hurts, man. You win 80% of one-score games, your quarterback's doing something right. That is clutch.
It's a narrative world, right? So weird things happen. What happened was 2 years ago, this week, he played that great game in the Super Bowl and they lost. And the narrative was he's about to become the best quarterback in the league, right? It's going to be Mahomes and him. And then things didn't go that way for whatever reason. I don't know. We're going to have to wait for the book to come out on what actually happened last year.
Like the whole team, offensive, defensively, took a massive step back.
And so then what does the world do? We overreact. Oh, he's not that good at all. Oh, but Josh is way better. Lamar is way better.
Unless you got a mouse in your pocket. Don't include the three at this table.
Fair enough.
We all stay strong. You know what I mean? Don't we it. I don't like collective wheeze. No, sir.
Let's play a game of fill in.
Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn mọi người gấp một con trâu vào Việt Nam như thế này nhé. Bây giờ chúng ta cùng nhau bắt tay vào làm nào. Để bắt đầu vào làm, bây giờ mình có chuẩn bị một tờ giấy